Welcome to We Love Deck Builders, the podcast dedicated to empowering deck industry pros to construct a thriving business. Join your host, April Edwards, founder of Deck Builder Marketers, as she brings you a cheat sheet of industry secrets and strategies that promise to boost your deck building business. Whether you're a battle-tested pro or just starting your entrepreneurial journey, this podcast is your arsenal for expert insights and actionable advice. So tune in and let's carve a path to business growth, one insight at a time.
And we're live.
Ready to run through some walls with that introduction. Holy smokes. What are we doing? Man, oh man.
I think so. For anybody joining, if you have any awesome photos with the Deck Builder Marketer crew, or any photos maybe you've taken while you've been on the podcast, submit them. Go ahead and send them to Jen at deckbuildermarketers.com, and she'll get the photo up here, because we want to redo the intro, and I think it'd be cool to get a little updated with some new pictures. So anyway, Mike, I like to, I don't know. You're just a Michael to me. I don't know what to say.
Michael, potato.
Yeah.
Caramel is what it is. There you go.
So, Michael and I were here jamming about, sports, which I said I just glaze over because I'm from Ohio, and every time somebody always mentions something about sports right away.
Well, for everybody tuning in, I mean, being from Ohio, obviously we know that, one of the biggest sports rivals in the whole U.S. is the Ohio State University and the University of Michigan. So that's why we're giving you some rough times. But I think it's cool not to get caught up. Obviously, still friends at the end of the day, but it's just friendly banter back and forth. So you got
it. That's what I always end it with too. I'm like, hey man, I'm not a sports fan, but are we still friends?
Sure.
I love it. Cool. Well, let's get to the formalities here. So, hey, everyone, welcome back to the We Love Deck Builders podcast. This is your place for real strategy and honest conversations about what it truly takes to grow in this industry. I'm your host, April Edwards, owner and growth strategist at Deck Builder Marketers. We exclusively work with serious deck builders to help them build profitable, sustainable businesses through smart marketing systems. Today's guest is Michael Allen, VP of Sales at Spear Rocket VA. If you don't know what VA stands for, that's Virtual Assistant. Michael and his team work with businesses across the country, helping them tackle their biggest bottlenecks with virtual assistants, from admin support, bookkeeping, and customer service to lead management, sales support, and marketing. Virtual assistants are a game changer for deck builders who are feeling overwhelmed with the day-to-day operations. So today we're going to dive into how deck builders can free up their time, respond faster, and close more jobs by leveraging VAs to handle tasks like missed calls, follow-ups, and more. In this episode, we're breaking down how to buy back your time, stop missing opportunities, and build a system that actually turns leads into book jobs. Michael, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me in here. And excited to be here with everybody who's tuning in maybe live, and those who are going to be coming in and maybe catching this later. Everybody who has met or come across April's path knows she's an awesome human being, which is hard to say, not hard, but not easy to say about everybody. So really appreciate the invite of coming in here and have a special place for the deck builders here, as well as moving to Dallas. And I think I told you this when we met, but we had to have some outdoor remodeling done, and even deck put up as well. So we got to first experience a little bit of inside process. So running the Dallas deck builders that we didn't meet beforehand, but there you go.
I love it. Yeah. So I've asked a lot of deck builders. I'm like, so who here is a poser? Meaning, like, how many deck builders actually don't have a deck, So it would be kind of interesting to have one of my clients hire another deck builder to build them a deck so they could experience the process from someone else.
There you go. I think congruency up to a certain point, right? I mean, I'm always the one on the other side of the end of the spectrum. What's the client journey look like? What does that look like?
Exactly. Yeah, man. I'm always like, hey, put yourself in your shoes, look at, or your client's shoes, look at your website. What does it say to you? That type of stuff. It's really important to take a step back. So Michael and I met at Job Tread Connect, and I think that's what's really powerful about going to events, even if you're, like us who either sponsors or puts up booths, you really get to meet a lot of folks. And I really value that camaraderie. And I think we all learn from one another. And Michael, I really liked your style. You had a lot of really good energy, definitely knows his business. And I was really impressed with their offering. Now, I've worked with a lot of VAs in the past. Actually, we have one that we've worked with for many years. And it's just nice because if it's just like a production type of task that, I want my team working on brain work, we could pass it on to them, to like mine data or, just do like repeatable processes that we have SOPs for. So I'm really excited to open this up because I think, VAs have been around for a really long time. But it takes some folks a little bit longer to adapt. And I know whenever I speak to a deck builder that is using some sort of a VA, they definitely have their business hat on and they understand where their time needs to be going. And it's a pretty affordable way to get your time back too. So stay tuned, ask questions. Michael's full of insight. His company has been doing this for a long time and he has a ton of knowledge. So anyway, do you want to just give a little intro and background on yourself?
Yeah, I definitely can. So April was given pretty much steal and run with the show. She's really good at what she does, but we've been around for 6 years. A really cool benchmark we just hit here at the end of March is we hit VA 11,500 placed at the end of March, right? So sounds like a lot because it is a lot, but we're placing about 250 to 300 virtual assistants a month. So it's got to a really fun point in business, right? It's not my company. The owner operator, his name's Justin Nelson, comes from a real estate background, but we work with a lot of different verticals. And one of the big one is the construction, general contracting space. And specifically with, I don't just want to say deck builders in itself, but anybody with outdoor, indoor remodeling or work that happens, which happens to fall into the category of, deck builders, right? I think with that point of just the other piece of introduction I have, like you had mentioned, April, I think really the question, if there's one thing that anybody who's watching in or tuning in with us could take away is knowing, hey, how much am I really worth? What is my dollar per hour rate, right? And I think a lot of people understanding that capacity of, yes, maybe we are solopreneurs or entrepreneurs and have a team, a small team or a large team, a small operation or big operation. It's important to grasp and understand, hey, have we really started a business to put ourselves in, create and build a job around ourselves, or are you able to really step outside without having things crash and burn down to the ground, right? Because you have to be there for it to operate. And I think that's one of the big things from maybe a small business. When I say small business, probably $500,000 or less a year take home, not just revenue generated, up to above that point. It's really because people know, like you mentioned, April, where can I leverage that time, and how can we make that time once again turn into revenue? Because we're taking ourselves from inside of the business to work more on it, right? Which sounds simple to do, but I mean, there's a lot of ins and outs that would be fun to jump into and talk about. Cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I always recommend the book Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I'm sure you do too. Do you guys have a book as well?
What's that?
Do you guys have a book?
So we don't have a book in itself.
Okay.
Right? So, but one of the books that we do push a lot is Buy Back Your Time.
Yeah.
By Dan Martell. And then there's the who, what, and how. And Dan, I forget Dan's last name, that we hand out, but creating raving fans and building out irresistible offer to people.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, those are all good. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, why reinvent the wheel, right? When it's already there. And Dan's is really, he's got a lot of resources and stuff too to help, with SOPs and stuff like that. And just ChatGPT it. Hey, these are all the things I do every day. Like, what should I delegate? Right. But I try and tell my team, my managers and even myself, I mean, it's hard I always say it, business owners are the unicorns. We know how to do everything. It's really hard to delegate. Nobody's going to do things as well as you are, but you definitely shouldn't be doing things that are going to get in the way of you doing more high-end revenue generating things or building partnerships and stuff like that. And I think that's like the ultimate goal for any business owner, is to get to that spot. And then for me, I eventually want to, just have a CEO running a company,
You got it. And I think that whole nobody can do it like me concept is we like to be a little snarky and clap back and say, hey, well, that's why, how are those 10 p.m. at night work sessions going for you still, right? Because we're still catching up on a few things, right? And I think but you're right. Nobody does it like you. Nobody does it like you. So I think there's a lot of, I guess, taking that path of reasons to justify or say, hey, I mean, a lot of reasons why or why not. Maybe some kind of fear that unpack around that whole idea or concept as well. So,
yeah, and I think it also seems sometimes, at least I could say this from my experience, easier just to do it yourself than to tell somebody else to do it. But I actually told this to my fulfillment director last week. I'm like, look, I get it. Like, I've been there. However, you're going to end up being pulled in a million different directions. And even if it took you the same amount of time to tell somebody to do it as it is to do it yourself, at least it's actually going to get done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think one of the key differences, like you say, is, hey, having somebody to own outcomes. And the other things that business owners say, yeah, I've delegated, but I keep peeping my head back in, or hey, what's going on, what's happened as we're going through and delegating the actual task, right? Because I mean, if it takes too long for you to train someone to do it, I mean, you've realistically been training yourself to do everyone else's job for years, right? Since you started the business, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's, once again, hey, how can we continue to delegate more things or free up the plate? Because you are creative mind, your area of expertise, your area of genius, where you're worth, you're valued at more than probably doing whatever that other person would be doing. So.
Yeah, I mean, figuring out like if your margins are down and coming up with creative ways to, generate that revenue, more money, like things like that, your staff isn't going to be able to do all the time, right? And that's where your head should be focused. Even if you don't want to generate a ton of money, just to take care of yourself and your team, right?
Yeah, and I think maybe a suspicious or lingering thought with that, April. I mean, a lot of people like how it feels when we are busy. Right. We like to feel like we are busy. And when we free up enough time that maybe there's time to work on some of that creative stuff, we think, oh, crap, what actually can I do? And it's almost a little bit daunting. Hey, I don't have enough time to keep pushing on things. And it's, well, where do I go from here? What else is there to work on at that point? Right. So there's that illusion of being busy. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no. And I'll tell you, one of my clients is in that boat. He's gotten his business. I mean, this was probably a year ago that we were talking about it. And if you're here, I won't say your name, but give me a thumbs up or something. But he got his business to a point where it was really running on its own. And he was kind of like, well, what do I do now? Like, he almost felt like he didn't have any value or something, because he kind of didn't know what to do with himself. But I'll tell you what, he's so amazing at giving back. And I think that having that space and attention to be able to give to your company and your team is so, so, so important. And being able to take a freaking vacation, and right. The business can still run without you. So important.
Yep. And not only that, April, we're just surprised how many people there really are that, hey, if you tell them you didn't have any financial dependence on a business and you just could do whatever you want. I mean, a lot of people who, yes, I know maybe it's a vacation or a few short-term solutions that maybe I'd want to do, right? But what really would you do if you didn't have to wake up and actually run a business, actually work and do something? And the amount of people that are, hey, I guess we'll figure it out when we get there. And it's become more and more common as people go into retirement. What happens? Yeah. We go into retirement and we sit and relax for a year, maybe 6 months. And then we think, man, I hate being still. What am I going to do? What can I do? We fall into this, I don't want to call it a midlife crisis, but a retirement crisis, really, right? Hey, what is it that there is to do, right?
Yeah. And so you should be living life now, not when you're, old and in pain because you've been on the tools all the time,
Yeah.
I've said it before, but I want to be a park interpreter. And so I'm working to have the capacity to do state park volunteering now so that when I grow up, my career, aka when I retire, is park interpreter, where I teach people about, history and the park and all that stuff.
Way cool. Way cool.
Yep.
I can share if it's worthwhile, just a quick 15-second splurge. I have the big whiteboard, the big vision board for a while now, but hey, going through a divorced family and playing college sports, right? I said, hey, having and helping vulnerable population with separated parents and providing athletic opportunities and maybe athletic gear or shoes that mom and dad couldn't afford because, hey, there wasn't the finances to help that out. So I think that's what that comes back into and getting back into sports again. So.
And I think the important word there is vision. And that's what is really going to enable you to be able to let go of certain things. And it's interesting because, I got to a point in my business where I had to say, man, I've given to this business. Maybe now I should start thinking about myself. And actually, if I take, it's like kind of the whole thing of, you put your mask on first and then, so you can take care of other people. And it's the same thing. And when you're so used to grinding and taking care of everything and everyone, it's not easy and it takes work to do. But you know what? I went on vacation for a week and I took, I kind of worked half days here and there the week before then because I was burnt out. And I realized when I was on vacation, man, I need to do this every 3 months minimum because it gave me, like, I was rejuvenated. It gave me the clarity that I needed to come back and be a CEO, and that's important. But let's get to the thick of it here. I think one thing that I know deck builders kind of put on the back burner is submitting their projects to manufacturers because it's admin work. I mean, it's not fun, but it's one of those things, like, it's going to end up getting you more reviews, more recognition from the manufacturer. And man, they really want to help those that are showing that they're serious. And so I'd love for my guys to have an assistant to be able to do things like that, along with a bunch of other things. So I'm interested to know from you, since a lot of deck builders are overwhelmed with day-to-day tasks, what are the common bottlenecks you see in their businesses?
Yeah, that's a really heavy loaded question, but a great one, right? And I think the main thing is everybody says, hey, I know I need some kind of help. I know I can't be doing everything myself, but where in the world do I start with, right? What is that process? And we have something that we can drop out to you guys in maybe April for you to shoot out, but some consumables, but we call it a replacement ladder. I know Dan talks about this as well, right?
Yes.
Right. But hey, removing ourselves from admin, delivery, and then we look at marketing, sales, and leadership, right? So if I were a gambling man, right, I would be willing to bet that any deck builder business probably has between 2 and 4 hours a day worth of not only administrative tasks, but delegatable items, getting a half day back per day to be able to do something different. Right? To be able to work on the business. I know it sounds like a bold claim, but hey, the first part's becoming aware of, hey, where's my time going? A time audit, which is probably sounds familiar to you as well, April, right? Seeing exactly what are the things that are revenue generating activities and what are the things that maybe I'm paying myself the McDonald's wage to flipping burgers to do that I could probably pass off pretty easily. So
yeah,
I want to say normally tends to look at some kind of administrative task. I know a lot of that we use the pre-construction admin, like you're saying, and the estimating even that we have some people help with. And then after that, the project coordination, right? The material side, the logistics that come in and out of that. A lot of people have somebody in office maybe helping at that point. But remembering the whole part with the virtual assistant, we're not trying to take away jobs from US-based individuals, but cut overhead costs so that you can be more profitable at the end of the day, right? And once again, have a larger workforce for normally 2 or 3 full-time individuals that you would have for the price of one in-person head that can just provide a little bit more bang for your buck per se, right? So
I can back that up, and I have a little story to say about that. When I first started out, I work with freelancers, because you kind of have to do what you got to do. I mean, deck builders work with contractors. It's the same thing. I did that for a while, but it's like, you want to have more control. You want people that are committed. You want to build a good culture. You want people that want to grow and be a part of something bigger. And so, I couldn't afford to bring on US based people. If I brought on a marketer here in California, it's a minimum of $100,000. Now, my deck builders might think that, our marketing costs are high, but man, if you hired the team that we have all in the US to do everything that we do, it'd be bonkers. So I started looking overseas for dependable people that I could bring on. And I was resistant. I thought, man, what are people going to think? Like, I'm taking money out of our economy and giving it to, folks overseas. But the truth is, my team is freaking fabulous. They are so dedicated and they love their job. They have amazing benefits working with us. We have an amazing culture. And what happens is that we're able to provide a better service. And the service that we provide does dump money into the economy because we're helping our clients' businesses grow. And it's crazy how you let your own fear and, worries about what other people think get in the way of what is right. And so hopefully that has encouraged somebody listening. I introduce my team to every new client that we get. So they get to know exactly who's working on their account. And I love it because at the end, I'm like, isn't this rad? I'm like, you have Ohio, Texas, Arkansas, California, Colombia, Mexico, South America, and what am I missing? Brazil. Oh, I'm sorry, India and Pakistan. So, I mean, it's pretty wild. But the thing is like, we're not limited to find only the best help around us in our area. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can recruit for culture fit, which sounds crazy, hiring people overseas.
Interesting.
But it's super true because they are passionate about what we're doing and they see the vision, and we could hire the best talent. And then of course the trade-off is not trade-off, but another benefit is obviously the cost savings. You're able to hire folks that are, honestly, I've hired people all over the board. I've hired people that were super expensive, claim to know everything. And then folks that weren't that much, that were rock stars. And so you really like it, it's about finding the right fit.
Sure. And a few things to add on to that, if I could, April.
Of course.
The back end of that, I think it's interesting that some people stay for a reason or some people stay for a season on the team, right? And I think any business owner who's had, or even subs that work with them, right, know and see, hey, who are going to be the reliable individuals? If we had a big project, I needed more people, have probably a short list of who I'd prefer to come and work for me, right? Or, hey, who I'd want to have on some kind of retainer, but maybe I'm not quite there yet as far as having the consistency to be able to make that work. So I think what you mentioned about the cultural and character fit is something huge, right? And I say that because if you look internally at the business, the reason why those people stay for a reason is because there's a specific culture and characteristics within the team or team values that make people stay for a longer term and retain through any kind of staffing, wherever it be, right? Not just virtual. And I think that's something that a lot of people just say, hey, I want the skill set. I want it to be quick. And the processes and systems live in the business owner's head. We don't really know how to express, communicate, to delegate it. And then it kind of fizzles out and we get to point fingers at somebody because it's their fault because they didn't do what I asked of them, but maybe we failed on, which is a whole nother conversation to go down.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
You know what? We can have a whole episode on that, and I could probably get a few people involved because we're actually dealing with one client right now. Like, it just, everyone has different, how do I want to say it? Just a different perception of reality, I guess.
Good way of saying it.
Well, Bobby here, he said, hey, thanks so much. I was going to ask that question, but you were answering it. And then he's got a backup here. Do you have a temp to permanent path for VAs.
Yep. Imagine that's like a part-time to transition into full-time. If that's what you're asking, if we're botching it, just let us know. We can go back 100%, right? Not everybody has the capacity for somebody full-time to start off with. Yes, it's a minimum of 10 hours to start with, right? We normally see it ramp up into 20 hours, but you'll see it be an ever-evolving role. And maybe, April, you can attest to this. I think it's cool having you here who uses virtual assistants, right? To see that it's an ever-evolving role. You come in and you think and you have these things to start with, but you think, oh my goodness, now maybe I can start passing this off to, or maybe I can find somebody to have and help with X and Y, right? So a lot of people who are normally worried about, hey, is it part to full-time, right? Is normally the last thing that's worried about. But hey, now that I have this here at this part-time role, you naturally find things that'll pull in and continue to ramp them up. But 100%.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And just so the listeners understand our situation here at Deck Builder Marketers, we have a virtual assistant that we rely on for, just admin type of, like I had mentioned earlier, task. But our entire team, while some are international contractors, we treat them like employees, honestly. And a lot of them, I mean, Pradeep's been with me. Gosh, Pradeep, you should listen and tell me. I think he's been with me for, I want to say like 8 years now,
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So he's been through, 3 different companies with me, because I started off with AE Design Co., converted that to Deck Builder, or moved to Deck Builder Marketers, and then I rebranded AE Design Co. to Audition. So it's amazing. You could find some incredible people. I do just want to go back to what you said before, because like you busted it out so quickly, but I think that it's so valuable to repeat it. What I was going to ask is, what are the first roles they should consider delegating to free up their time? But you have the whole path. Do you want to just say that one more time?
Yeah. So if we were to have an imaginary ladder, I'm going to draw with my hands on the screen here. Obviously, you can't just jump to the top of a ladder, right? There's rungs you need to climb as you're moving forward, climbing the ladder, right? And that first rung is going to be the administrative tasks, right? I don't want you guys to limit your mind or sightfulness on that virtual assistant as just somebody who does administrative work, right? After that, somebody who's going to help with delivery, right? After we tie off the admin task and go into delivery, the reason for this is each and every business is going to have a breaking point, or that bottleneck up to a certain point. If I were to ask if your business were to double or triple tomorrow, where would you break? Instead of doing an hour and a half at nighttime accounts receivable and the admin work, maybe now we're doing 3 because we have double the work, right? Or maybe it's the delivery. Hey, I don't have the people, or maybe it's I can find the people, but now where do we go for consistency? And that next rung of the ladder is going to be marketing, right? And after marketing, and we have that tied down, now we're jumping to sales. From sales and into sales, it goes into leadership, right? Having somebody who'd be almost an operations admin. Hey, if April were to step away from the Deck Builder group, right? Does the whole business crash and burn, or should come back and walk into a dumpster fire? Or, hey, I know we're smooth sailing because I trust the team that I have in place, and they can get done what needs to get done, right? And I think that's kind of the inflection point there to see, hey, that's really to see. And maybe you guys have maybe an office leader who does admin. Maybe you have somebody, the delivery, but maybe where we're at is consistency and new leads coming in. Maybe we need some marketing help, right? After the marketing side, we'll probably need somebody to help close more consistent business and continue to grow at that point. So each step ties into itself pretty naturally, right? Yeah. The backside of this that I want to share really quick is a lot of people come and say, hey, I need more leads. I need somebody to make dials. Somebody just needs to set more appointments. We'll figure it out. Okay, but dial leads from where? Where are we getting the leads from? What's happening? Okay. If we take on more work, are we giving ourselves more out of it? You see how we start to break the business if we go out of order, right? And we cause even more of a problem later down the road. So April and our team can come in and help on that end as well. Cool.
Yeah. We call it appointment setter, here in the agency space, but somebody that can follow up with answer the phone, follow up with past leads, maybe, somebody that went cold, or, even said that they ended up, working with someone else. We have automation here to help with a lot of that stuff, but I mean, nothing beats you reinforcing it with a phone call too. It really shows that you care and you're serious and pro. And so I think that's something that is, really great to leverage. So yeah, a lot of deck builders, I think, and just business owners in general, they worry about losing quality control when handing off tasks. How do you ensure that VAs represent the business professionally and efficiently?
Yeah, so something funny I'd like to tease around with is that not only the person that you've hired is still struggling to learn or do the task that maybe they're doing currently. Maybe show up with a bad attitude, maybe call in sick on Fridays or frequently, right? We want to make sure that that out of experience and seeing just the work culture from different, depending on where we're grabbing virtual assistants from, are very, very much workaholics, right? But I would say coming back to the structure side and how we're making sure there's a few different points to this question, April. I guess a few routes to go down with data security, how can we assure quality, right? If your systems and processes live inside your brain and we don't have a clear outcome in front of that individual, we're never going to reach that outcome. And that's what we see with a lot of business owners, right? I know what I need to have done. I know what needs to happen, but are we able to explain that, right? We teach, we show, we do it with them once, then we observe them doing it, and then, hey, we're normally pretty good to go. This is a pretty safe model as far as doing that. Cool.
Well, I'd like to give the advice that even if you're not considering working with a VA now, anything that you could do to document your processes, if it's something admin related, screen record it with Loom. If it's something else, just talk in your phone. You can convert all of this stuff into an SOP using standard operating procedure, using ChatGPT or whatever, but that's really systematizing your business so that you can scale or take a vacation when you want. You know what I mean? So that's really going to help you through those processes or ensure quality handoff just by having your processes documented.
I think something else, April, is something that's okay to understand. Is it going to be done exactly how you do it yourself? It won't be, right? Mm-hmm. But Dan, this is another Dan principle. 80 or 70%, I forget the exact number, done by somebody else is 100% awesome, right? So with that, right, we can still come and fill in gaps, but we're not filling in maybe 100%. But we want, like I said, this comes back to having somebody who's an independent anchor and can own outcomes is something important compared to just, hey, do this and I'll be big brother or like a helicopter parent. Like we see, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what's going on? Right. And we have to, trust is earned, obviously. Right. But we need to make sure I'm a control freak myself. And that was one of the hardest things for me. Right. I mean, Sarah, who worked with me, just to share with you guys, not only a business standpoint of view, but a personal standpoint of view. I think, April, maybe I shared this with you. Maybe I didn't. I hate going to the grocery store with a passion. Right. The wife can go buy groceries all she wants, right? But we'll order online and we don't buy all the unnecessary stuff that we normally would have picked up, right? Mm-hmm. Once again, we moved to Texas. I'm originally from Michigan, right, to the DFW area. And guess who planned that whole trip, U-Hauls, pods, looking at where we're going to stay? Sarah did, right? Yeah. Date nights here, going exploring different things. We have a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old. Guess where we get to see where we're taking them to? We have ideas. I know it sounds like maybe I'm a terrible dad or a terrible husband, right?
No.
But at the same time, it's leverage. It's not brain space that's taken up. So it's something interesting to, like I said, don't just limit yourself to, hey, maybe it's business related. And maybe there's some other things that a lot of people have. House managers or house people come and clean your house maybe once or twice a week, which is common to see as well. So similar in essence, right? So
yeah, and I think it's about lifestyle design and giving yourself what you need to be fully present. And you don't even feel guilty about that. I mean, it is stressful as heck running a household. and getting a little bit of support will ensure that you're not just constantly yelling at your kids for, like, because you're frustrated or whatever. So think about that, right? Lifestyle design. I think that's a good one. What do you think are the biggest mistakes that deck builders make when they try to implement VAs or delegate tasks for the first time?
We see a lot of people come in and say, hey, I'm not really sure how I'm running things here, but I come in and figure it out for me, right? If you do not have that process or system in place of how, like April said, let's just record yourself doing it, whether it's a Loom recording, whether it's a voice note, anything that you guys have to help take that process from inside of your head and put it down so it's deliverable in front of somebody. So many people shoot themselves in their foot expectation wise when they're onboarding a new individual, any kind of hire, again, not just a virtual assistant, when we don't have clear expectations on that end, right? So I think that's probably number one. I would say the second piece is, right, we want these, one of the core values that we have is everybody wins, right? Obviously, if the VA is winning and doing what they need to have done, what happens in return for your business as a deck builder, right? Well, you grow and scale. You get more time back. You get time back to work more on the business, right? And if you continue to grow and scale at that point, well, chances are you're going to need, right, more help at that point as well for somebody else in another position to come on and continue helping different individuals from different backgrounds or different places where they're coming from or where we're hiring them from, correct? So I think that's interesting.
My perspective is to, like, I need to keep the business moving forward because it really, I feel I owe it to my team. They want to step up into leadership and stuff like that. And if we stay stagnant, there's not going to be room for that, So I have a lot of goals with being able to make an impact in people's lives in general, and growing the business is a great way to do it. We get to help our internal team and their families and our clients, their families and the communities that they serve, So maybe think bigger.
I agree. Right. And I think maybe another one for you that you're talking about, that think bigger. Some people maybe think thinking bigger in that aspect, I'm too small to have any kind of help, right? I'm just 1, 2, 3 person team, right? Even if you're that small, I know we had someone tune in and say, what does part-time to full-time look like? What would you do with an extra hour or two? I mean, what is your buyback rate? Are you worth $50 an hour, $100 an hour? What does that be able to reproduce inside the business? Or even if you just had an extra hour or two back when you get home and not have to continue to be on the computer, like you said, lifestyle. If I can be more present, maybe it's not a monetary amount. Maybe it's I can finally make it to the T-ball game that I've missed, or I can finally make it and go to travel games because I don't have to be tied down to the job site because I know materials are getting delivered how and when they should be, and nobody forgot them, right? So
yeah, that's good. I'm interested to know from your perspective because, well, the first thing I want to say is whenever you bring anybody on, there's, VA or whatever, like there's training. Like you're not going to just hire someone and like immediately they're going to know everything about your business and be able to do 100% amazing job. There's going to be that time where you're getting to know each other. It's a relationship, and here at Deck Builder Marketers, we have a very intense onboarding. And we can't, we're constantly refining it, trying to set the right expectations. How can we get what we need quicker so that the client isn't a bottleneck and we could actually get, deliverables out. It's an art, I'll tell you that. And what's interesting about what we do is we're training ourselves with our onboarding process. We have a system to train ourselves on our client's business.
Sure.
And that's the most important part. And so I guess what I'm just trying to say is you do have to be a little patient. If people want it and they get it and they have the capacity, EOS terms, then, it might just take a little bit of time for you guys to really mesh and get things to where you want it to be. But a good leader will explain what it is that you're looking for very clearly.
I think that's really good. And I think half the battle is getting the right person in the right seat, right? Which probably isn't that hard to do, to be realistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Skill set, character, personality. I mean, yes, you can interview 10, 15 individuals. You're Fiverr, freelancer, online jobs, PH. I mean, if you have the time and want to go do it yourself and give it a try, sure, right? But I think the next side is the implementation and then the efficiency and productivity of the processes. That, like you said, you are even still constantly refining what you guys are doing, which is amazing. It's awesome. A lot of times people say, hey, well, we said it, we put it, cool. We'll let it ride until it breaks or dies, right? Which is a little bit of a problem, right? The one thing that I could drop here, if anything at all, would be pre-boarding you as a company. Something that if any of you guys have, I mean, what is the company overview, right? On top of that, what is the role overview? What is the outcome we're trying to achieve there, right? What is the week one task list? And then a 30, 60, 90-day plan for a ramp-up period. Hey, at the end of 30 days, this is what should be happening. When we get to 60 days, this is where we should be at. 90 days, this is what I expect, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough. And then one thing that is constantly overlooked, this is probably a big one here, is what we call a fallback list. What should I do when there's not a lot to do? What can I always have for them to be doing something productive, right? If we've called all the leads in the CRM, if we've reached back out to the messages, if we don't have any dials coming in, if we finish the admin work for the day, what can I do to still continue to help April at that point? Or Bob the builder, the deck builder, right? Who's continue to work on the business. So
that's really good. You completely just answered my next question. And it's like that. How do you set yourself up for success? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever it is that you use, guys, this is not hard to do. Just brain dump everything that you're thinking, your wildest dreams, and have it put together a job description of your ideal candidate.
Yeah. And when we say brain dump, I think, April, that term's taken a lot more seriously now. You can even create a project and say, hey, this is my business brain. This is everything you need to know about me. Ask me. We have what we call 1,000 questions for executive assistants when we hire them. Mm-hmm. How we work, operate, work out. When do we wake up? What do we use when we travel? Different ins and outs that we can pass off as well if anybody wants it, right? But to see, hey, this is the business brain, and anybody can go and ask it, and it'll answer as if it were trained up and prompted enough that as if it were you, right? Which is pretty good. So,
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I have so when you say project, that's kind of used differently in different platforms.
Correct.
I think it's project in ChatGPT. It's called a Gem and Gemini. And it's really easy, guys. It's basically like you set up a folder. Maybe you give it some files and some instructions. And then it learns from you as you go. And it's pretty wild because I have a virtual board of directors, and I also have a fulfillment project, and it's great because if anything's going on, I could just pop it in there, and I could put call transcripts and all kinds of things in there, and I even use it to train myself. How could I have made this call better? How could I have showed up better as a leader? These types of things. It's all there, guys. If you guys ever want to jam on like how to use AI, if you're not leveraging it to level your business up, hit me up, man. Like we could have a whole workshop on it. And I would love that.
I would agree, right? I would agree. Yeah. And speaking about that, what a tool access look like that I think talking about the AI piece, if you can make that pivot, is that with a lot of people come and ask, Michael, what about AI and VAs? Aren't you guys pretty much out of business as a company, right? And I think something interesting that I'll share with you guys is what is now easy should be automated, right? Should be automated by AI, right? Realistically. And what's hard now becomes easy and should be delegated to a virtual assistant. Not everybody wants to be the AI guy. Some of you guys are already wearing 6, 7 different hats, right? I don't have time to figure out how to do that. We'll have somebody come in and help set it up, install it, right? What was impossible now becomes hard, and now should be done by you, the business owner, right? To take on the heavy hitting tasks that help push and plug the business forward that we can now focus on and work on, right? So I think with that end, what are the tools that we should be using? And then on top of that, I'll even add one thing that's really important is communication cadence. How often, and even if I were to ask you, April, how often do you talk with the team? What are the check-ins? What are timelines for that as well? But communication cadence is going to be vital for success.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys, I mean, I always say the things that people don't want to hear. I'm that girl. Um, but if you weren't on the digital marketing, for instance, online presence, utilizing the internet in some way, shape, or form to serve your business, or software like JobTread, or any type of tools to make your life easier, create a better experience for your customers and a better output, you were already behind, especially when COVID hit. And then if you didn't catch up after that, pretty much non-existent. People aren't finding you. You're not getting as much, work or preferable work that you want because some new guy popped in and he's right. Like he's all over the place online and, he's showing proof of what he does, answering people's questions, has an amazing system and processes and team and all of that stuff to generate an amazing experience from the time somebody picks up the phone. And now if you're not utilizing AI in your business in some way, shape, or form, I'm telling you, the next 6 months, it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. I know my agency is going to not my agency, because we're adapting. We've got a lot of things going in place, and it's because we want to be the best that we can be, and we could leverage these tools to do that. In 6 months from now, it's going to be totally different.
I agree. And I think take that even a step further, April. And that's why we love you saying the things nobody wants to hear, the hard to swallow pills, right? But I think with that, as we continue to stay at that rate, 10 working days now becomes 2 with a lot of these tools. What we used to have to take 10 days to accomplish is shortened down. So that gap between you and the other competitors continues, like April's saying, to largen more and more and more. I don't want to say a monopoly, but it's going to be a lot harder to compete at that point. And we're playing a lot more of catch up than we would be if we would actually just try. Imperfect action is always going to be better than doing nothing at all. It's failing, right? Not even trying is failing in the first place, right? And I think that's a lot of people. That's a whole nother conversation as well. But I think that's something interesting that we can come in and drive and grab with, hey, throw yourself out there. I mean, if you're making mistakes at 100 miles an hour, well, at least you're actually doing something and figuring it out. So.
Michael, you have dropped, I don't know, maybe like 5 quotes that I want to use. That is perfect. Perfect. And I always say perfectionism is the root of all evil too, because
there you go.
Yeah. And we struggle with that with our clients, and I get it, but man, getting something out into the world is better than like keeping it tucked away. And I know this, even it's insane, the journey that I've had in my career, because I used to do print design, and it was like, oh man, if you messed up on anything, like it's thousands of dollars. And now digital, it's like, well, then just change it right away if you don't like it, but like at least get it out, And what's crazy in our world, we've done, like, I invested thousands of dollars in this amazing reporting system, where we can automatically see, like, day by day the stats and results of our clients, what their sales are at, like across the board. I could pull up averages, cost per lead averages in certain areas in the country with some of our clients. Like, it's really, really awesome. Well, guess what? You can utilize an app like, I don't know, there's a million. OpenClaw is like the bee's knees, but you could utilize these platforms to create an app for yourself in a matter of minutes. It's so wild. So anyway, leveraging a VA to help you adapt to the way that you should have been adapting years ago, I think is a great way to end this. I want to talk a little bit more about Spear Rocket, but we have one more question here. Let's see. I'm always interested in what gets a person to act, whether to hire a marketing agency or a VA. What are the primary pain points that deck builders have when looking for a VA?
Okay. I think we touched on that a little bit. I would say, and to answer the second part of the second question in there, right? 2 questions there. I would say a lot of times, right? There's going to, well, let me start with the second side, right? The second question before I get ahead of myself. The second piece is going to be that, hey, I think I'm too small. I don't have enough to delegate, right? Like I said, if we can get 1, even 2 hours back of your time a day, right? The second one is, hey, they can only do admin work. They can only do these simple tasks. We have people who come in and have VAs that are placed to help do. They're even CFOs for companies, right? They're coming from the corporate Philippines, from nearshore companies. If you think Amazon, Google, if you think all these companies who just have laid off thousands of US-based employees with six-figure salaries, now implemented a little bit of AI and are still using nearshore talent, right? How is that working for them, but we're not able to make it work at a smaller scale? And I think that's something to check up on. And if it was a dying industry or something that wouldn't make sense, they would have got rid of them as a whole, right? But I think you can see Chase Bank, you can see tons, and you can look at BPO, business process outsourcing companies, that's what they call it, and see it's a laundry list of all of the big name companies that are using, right, a lot of nearshore talent. So the last thing that I'd share there, it would be, right, I think, hey, there's normally some kind of bad experience, or hey, what about data security or information breach, or hey, we're looking at records, hey, I don't want somebody with an accent, right? And this is the last piece that I'll drop for you guys. There's a difference between accent and comprehension, right? April being so much in Cali now sounds like one of the Cali surfer girls, right? And not like a Midwest guy from Michigan, right? We have different accents here up to a certain point, but if I can't comprehend what you're saying, now we've got a problem, right? So we always say we can source for neutral and no accent. We can source for somebody who has a regular accent, or somebody who has a little bit thicker of an accent. If they're doing internal work and not client-facing work, does it matter if a video editor has an accent if he's just editing videos? Probably not, right? But if we're having somebody call it on the phones to reach out to lead lists, that we want them to sound like somebody maybe from stateside, it might be more important. So just the example I'll use here is we have April, I think I shared this with you as well, but he's a contractor in Southern Alabama. We pick on him for something like Forrest Gump, right? But ISAs, appointment centers, BDRs, I know there's a whole bunch of different names for them, right? But it'll call out to the different leads that come in from paid traffic or from social media, right? Mm-hmm. Then we have other people, that the New York City people, the dog eat dog world, right? If they can handle their own setting appointments in New York City, well, where else can they not, right? So different perspectives there. Cool. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And so let's talk a little bit more about what it takes to, what the process is like working with Spirit Rocket. And I think everybody always kind of wants to know what their time involvement is too,
Yeah, right. I hate to be the bearer of bad news again, right? But we are going to make your life a little bit more miserable, probably for 14 days, right? And I say that because we're going to ask a lot of you while we're onboarding and pre-boarding with the VA. We need to make sure we get things set up and in line well, right? So we'd start working with us. Everything we do is based off of a refundable deposit. You get to come and get onboarded. We build out a job description for you. You can say, here's my non-negotiables. I don't even want to interview anybody, Mike, unless they have these things, familiar with this platform software, this dialing system, whatever it may be, right? We'll say, okay, we'll go and source. And we get 300, 350 people that raise their hand, and we run paid traffic with your job description to the corporate Philippines or to Latin America, right? And we'll take the top 3 to 6 highest ranked individuals that we find after an 8-step filtering process, and you'll be able to interview them on a one-on-one basis. If you like the talent, cool. We start working on a month-to-month basis. There's no long-term commitment or contracts. If you don't like them, well, cool. We'll give you a refundable deposit back, and we split our ways as friends. Cool. So it's very straightforward, very easy access point, but we want to at least have you guys come in. And like I said, we've 11,500 VAs at this point, 4,000 business owners. And then just to share, last year we did a little over 23 million in ARR for the company. So continuing to grow and on pace to hit the 30 this year. So like I said, excited to put our money where our mouth is. Show you, hey, we're there, as April said, the bee's knees, and somebody who can help on that point. And if not, we'll give you your money back. So cool.
I was doing this earlier. You were talking about how many folks you've served, and I had my little pincher fingers up. It's like, just a few.
Just a little bit.
So, I think you have some good experience, and it's great to utilize. We recruit we have our own recruiting system now, but in the beginning, I leveraged services like yours, because I didn't know, it was overwhelming, and it was nice to have somebody kind of hold my hand through the process to ensure that I got, the best of the best. One objection that I hear a lot, concern, is just the language barrier and accent. So, how can people get, hear maybe the candidate and stuff like that to make sure that, they're okay with the way they speak?
So like I said, the first big thing is the accent comprehension side, right? A little bit of us U.S. Citizens or Americans, a lot of us haven't even gone outside of the U.S., but in the Philippines, it's 7,200 islands. The language that they teach school to the kids starting in pre-K is English. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but English isn't their maiden language, but what they use in the schooling system, right? It is, and I share that because the rising generation, I guess you could say there, your millennials and forward, right, speak English as if they were you and I, April, right? Obviously, with a little bit of an accent there at that point, with some exceptions, sure, right? But the other thing is that you guys would get to interview the talent before actually deciding, hey, is this what I want or is this not what I want, right? So I think we really try to break that down, and I pick on people in the I would even say the deck building space. Some of our VAs could probably speak better English than some of the subs that you guys work with too. So how's that sound?
Yeah, it's true. I've had some folks that speak better English than our team does. It's pretty crazy.
Yep.
And the cultural difference isn't that much in the Philippines and Latin America. In Latin America, their time zone is closer to ours, so there's advantages.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, if people want to get started working with Sphere Rocket, what are their next steps?
Yeah, I didn't pass you my social media handles, right? But here's the website. It's pretty pushes you to, if you want to jump on a call with somebody from the team, right? We have a team of it's 17 people on the sales org that we oversee. So one of them would be more than happy to say, you saw this weird guy that on the Deck Builders podcast with April and the team. I trusted them 110% to help get you guys squared away, and love to add you guys as friends on social media. I know we can probably get that out here. We could job text wise as well if you want, April. Either way, but like I said, just Michael Allen on Facebook and Sphere Rocket social media handles. There's a lot of information to go out and find, and it'll eventually push you to a booking. It's pretty dialed in what we got. Cool.
Yeah, and they'll do a really good job of explaining to you the process and what it looks like and filling in any questions. Really, I mean, seriously, a really good job. So
cool.
Anyway, any final words of wisdom for the audience?
Final words of wisdom for the audience. Maybe we can drop one more nugget for everybody, if that's allowed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
If you're working, if you're continuing to work and finding yourself at the end of the day still, I like to call it cell phone anxiety. Has anybody ever had their cell phone vibrate or ring and it's not even in your pocket? You're just like going crazy. What's going on? Call it our business owner senses are tingling, right? So we say that a lot of any kind of business making decision involves risk, right? The most important thing that everybody tuning in that I could ask is step up to the plate and keep swinging the bat, right? And step up to the plate and keep swinging the bat, like I said, in the sense of take risks, bet on yourself, invest into yourself, right? And I know with a great marketing team in front of you guys too as well. I know we're talking a lot about virtual assistants, but April and team have a lot good going on. And the virtual assistant side, sometimes we have to be uncomfortable to grow, right? Mm-hmm. Risk tolerance is what business growth is all about. Nothing ever feels or looks sane until we start doing it and we hit that new level of growth. So that'd be some closing remarks for you guys. Cool.
Amazing. Thanks so much. So delegation isn't just about freeing up time. It's about creating systems that allow you to focus on the work that drives growth. A big thanks to Michael Allen for showing us how deck builders can solve their biggest bottlenecks with virtual assistants and start getting back to the parts of their business that really matter. And for those listening at Deck Builder Marketers, we help deck builders create marketing systems that attract the right clients and give you more control over your business so you can stay focused on what we do best. I love having these podcasts and introducing you to new folks. in order to support your business. Learn to delegate and move that business forward and design a lifestyle for yourself. If you're ready to create a marketing system that actually works for you, book a free growth strategy session with me at deckbuildermarketers.com/strategy. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, follow, and leave us a review. It helps us reach more deck builders, and it truly means a lot to our team. You can always see what upcoming podcasts we have on the website at deckbuildermarketers.com/podcast. You could also subscribe to be on or apply to be on the podcast. And if you've been on the podcast or you've had any interactions with the Deck Builder Marketers team and want to be featured, we'll add you in our little intro. So send us some photos. Thanks so much for tuning in. And as always, keep moving forward. Thanks, guys.
Beautiful.
Recording in progress.
Hey, deck building community. Enjoyed the show? Hit subscribe and give us your thoughts. We love hearing from you. Ready to level up your business? Visit deckbuildermarketers.com. Check out our services and let's build your success together. Don't forget to download our free guides. They're a game changer. Thanks for tuning in to We Love Deck Builders and see you on the next episode.